Hi, I'm Bill Dustin. I come from Devens, Massachusetts. I lived there with my wife, and I had a kidney transplant here at Lahey Medical Center. It starts about 20 years ago when I had a doctor's appointment, and the doctor sent me in for an ultrasound because he thought he felt something in my stomach. And it turned out that I had a disease called polycystic kidney disease that I didn't know I had. And the result of this disease is that it can deteriorate your kidneys over time to the point where you could go into kidney failure. From there, I led a pretty normal life because I had no symptoms of my kidney disease for many years. When I got into my mid-70s, I started having some mild symptoms and decided to look into what I could do about it. I learned about the options that I would have if my kidneys failed. And the two options are basically dialysis and transplant. I decided, for me, that I would love to get a kidney transplant because the prospect of being on dialysis was not appealing. I was accepted into the transplant program at that hospital. Eventually, as my kidneys deteriorated and I went into stage 5 kidney failure, I was put on the national list of people waiting for a deceased donor. From my perspective, I would have had to wait 5 years for a deceased donor, and at my age, I was already in my later 70s. That was not a, 5 years was not a good option for me, so I pursued a live donor transplant at that point. We were sending out letters to try to get a live donor, and we were pursuing that vigorously. When you ask someone to give you a kidney, you have to reach out, you have to share your story, and you have to share your medical history. It's not easy, it's daunting. But I would encourage anybody to do it. My wife and I sat down and we wrote out my story in a letter. We shared that letter with all of our communities of people that we know. I felt good about sharing it. I got a lot of positive feedback from people. They offered me encouragement. They gave me hope. In the meantime, my doctor transferred over here to Lahey Clinic. They found I was healthy enough to be admitted to the transplant program. And so I got on their list also. I got an email from my nephew. And he said, "Uncle, I want to give you one of my kidneys." And we were so thrilled and so happy. He was a match to my blood type, and he was very willing and resolved to give me a kidney. So at this point, I had 2 potential donors. I had a primary donor, and I had a lot of people who had tried to give me a kidney and couldn't. So I felt very lucky and fortunate. So in my final workup to be accepted for a full transplant in the program at either hospitals that I was working with, I needed to have a cardiac catheterization. So my cardiologist sent me to Lahey to do the cath test. And in the cath test, they found that I did have blockages in my heart and I needed surgery to fix them in order to get a transplant. I was so anxious to get that transplant that I said, let's go get the heart fixed. So we set it up in 2022 in July to do the bypass surgery, and I did that. I talked to Dr. Shaker at Lahey. He's in the cardiology department, and he did the bypass surgery. It was very successful. After the surgery I had here, I decided that I wanted to use Lahey for my transplant. I was very comfortable with Lahey, very professional. I love my cardiology surgeon. Dr. Shaker did a tremendous job. And I was very comfortable in the transplant center with the doctors that I'd spoken with. They're very friendly, very professional. And I also knew that Lahey had a very active transplant program. They were doing a lot of transplants, kidneys and livers, and that impressed me. So I said, I'm going with Lahey. It's also closer to my house and more convenient than going into Boston. So I transferred to Lahey to be my primary transplant center, and I'm very happy I did. I think the team here is very professional. Dr. Hendley was my surgeon, and he is just a superb surgeon. Very careful, very dedicated, and I trusted him implicitly. We were operated on the same day here at Lahey. He's doing very well, and we're both recovered very, very well, and we're doing very good 1 year later. I did bring a souvenir of my transplant here. I brought my kidney pillow that I received at Lahey after I got my kidney, and it's signed by all the nurses and doctors and my friends who came to see me. So this is my one gift from, in addition to the kidney that I actually received, this is the other kidney. It's been a very smooth recovery for me. I've been lucky, I know. I'm quite healthy, and I have tolerated the surgery and the medication very well. I'm very grateful for what has happened to me, and I feel very lucky that at my age, and I'm now 80 years old, I received my kidney when I was 79, and I think I was the oldest transplant recipient that Dr. Henley had ever had, although I'm probably not the oldest ever. They took a chance on me, an older patient, and it really worked out well, and I'm so thankful and grateful. So I would always recommend, if possible, if at all possible, reach out for a live donor and do the work. There are resources available at the Lahey Transplant Center, and nationally you can go online and get advice on how to do it. My advice to you would be, don't ever be afraid to ask for help. People are out there to help you, and they will, and it's amazing where the help will come from. So do the work, tell your story, and put yourself out there, and just have faith that it might happen.